Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to take a look at Shiranui, one of the new stride decks released just recently for English. We're going to take a look at the entire deck, explain some of the basic things you can do with it, and just go over why it's considered one of the best decks right now. I hope you guys enjoy. Please leave a comment, like, and subscribe, and let's get right into it. First of all, we go over the starter. I decided to pick the one from the Shiranui trial deck, just because he's nice and shiny. And he just looks really good. You can pick any starter, it doesn't really matter. But what does matter is the Great One. This gives you your Shiranui crest and gives you a draw. Now the Shiranui crest is quite important. Spell it out right here. This gives you the ability to stride. It allows you to just stride. It also locks you into the Demon Stealth Dragon Shiranui. Interestingly enough, it needs to be Demon Stealth Dragons, so the old Shiranui cannot be ridden, like at all. It also gives everything that's dominated plus 5k and makes you not able to use their auto or continuous abilities. So this is a buff and a nerf in the same sentence, as it gives you more power on your dominate targets and at the same time doesn't let you abuse the things that you dominate for their effects. It also gives you plus 5k to the front row every face-up card, as does any other of the crests. So secondly, we run the Grade 2 Shoujo Doji. This has been standardized quite a while now, just because the Grade 2 Shoujo Doji provides a lot more value for us than the Grade 2 for the Shiranui Ride Line. So what does the Grade 2 Shoujo Doji Ride Line does for you? It lets you check top 5, and then choose up to 2 stealths, normal units, and put one into soul and call the other. So this gives you a free body turn 2, and it also gives you the Shoujo Doji name on turn 2, which is quite relevant for some of the other cards that we run, such as Isasawo. Isasawo is a pretty decent reason why this deck has a really good grade 2 game, as you were able to effectively use up your CB on turn 2 and search out important key pieces for later. It's really strong. It's a lot better than I expected it to be, and it lets you win the grade 2 games against some of the other stride decks if you have like a better opening. It's interesting. Sometimes I'd even argue that going first against another stride deck is better because you can grade 2 game them earlier. It's weird. You kind of need to experiment with it yourself and get a feel for when it's worth it and when it's not. Last up we got Shiranui Oboro. He's your main vanguard, he's your stride bearer. He said at the beginning of the ride phase you can call a card from your opponent's field to their field. So you cannot do this when you ride him, because you would already pass the start of the ride phase. But after that, if they don't have a field, you can force them to have a field for something to dominate. So that's quite good. Second effect lets you, when you stride, dominate something and give them plus 4. So just a free extra attack. Again, you get plus 5 again from the crest, so that usually you dominate a grade 2. It's a 19k swing. Usually you dominate a grade 2. Not often you get to dominate a grade 3 for a 22k swing. But you know, it's there. It's quite nice. That's the ride line. Next up, let's quickly go over the trigger units. We're starting off with 4 heals. I'm running 3 of the normal one. One is a Temarihime. We're in a stride meta right now, so having a heal that's 20k shield when your opponent's grade is higher than you is quite nice. Gives you a little bit of extra shield in those matchups that are really tough to win. 8 crit. I think this speaks for itself. 8 crit is very good. You could argue for 7 crit and then 4 front. I'm choosing to run 3 fronts. This is kind of where it's subjective what you think is better, but I like to check a crit. Makes my brain go smooth. It's very nice, very fun. Last up, of course, the Dragon Empire Overtrigger. With a triple drive on Vanguard, resending Vanguard is quite strong, and if you check your OT on a stride turn, you probably just snowball and win from that point. Also, interestingly enough, your restanders are not once per turn, so if you check over trigger and attack again, you could restand again. Going over the grade 1s, we're running 4 of the PGs, specifically the stealth PGs from the trial deck, quite important. Utsuroi over here does a lot for you, and just the fact that it has a stealth name. You have cards that specifically search for stealth, so having him be a stealth and being searchable is quite strong. Next up we have the Chenri replacements. I'm personally choosing to run 2 Fushimadoki and 2 Zenkai, mainly because I do not have Forktail. So if you have Forktail, this is probably where you would put her. She is just better, usually, than these two. Yeah, Shenri is just a superior card. If Editor Kun could put up an image of what she does, that would be very nice. There's not much more to say. This is just a temporary slot until we get a promo, and then I'm going to switch it out to that promo. Up we have our little fox here, Katagitsune. So he's a stride fodder, so you can discard it for stride, but usually you're going to be discarding it to add your Demon Stealth Dragon Shiranui from your deck to your hand. You want to do this as early as possible. The moment you get this card in your hand, you want to discard it, just getting your Shiranui out of your deck, as that not only filters your deck. You need Shira the Obro name specifically for your Mukuro. Go into Mukuro. And Mukuro is pretty much the win con of this deck. Last but not least, we have Tenrei at of course 4 copies. On place lets you draw, and then when a dominated attack hits, you can return to hand. So this is the main CB outlet after your turn 2 plays with Shoujo Doji, and then you can recycle it to your hand when your dominate attack hits to call again to draw another card. It's pretty nice, honestly. Next up, for the great 2s in the deck, we choose to run 4 copies of Furai. I think this guy is really strong. He gets +5 for every dominated attack that has happened during this battle, and GB1. When your Vanguard attacks, if a dominated attack has a dominated unit has attacked, you can Soul Blast 1 to restand. Again, not once per turn, so you can do this twice if you check OT. Very, very strong. 4 copies, obviously. Very worthwhile card. Then the second card that does this, a little different, is Sekie. So again, you need to have dominated, but for Soul Blast 1 you can restand. And if you have 2 face-up cards in your G-Zone, he gets +10k, and you can get the draw. So very good card, very strong. You could cut it down to 3 and play the Virina, grade 4 Virina. I just choose not to. And I haven't ever really needed the grade 4 Virina in my games. I guess it would make better numbers technically, but I've never needed it, so I just choose not to play it. It's also not a stealth name for this guy. He's a Sao. A guy that went up a lot in price recently, as a lot of people started to realize Shoujo Doji, and of course Shiranui used this card, and it's quite good for both decks. So I hope you guys picked up your copies when I was talking about Shoujo Doji back in the day, as this card is now worth more money than it should be. So on place you can counterblast 1 to check top 5 to get any stealth normal units to hand. So again, now that we have a stealth PG, we can just add those with this. We can add any other pieces that we need. Really good, really strong. The second effect does not matter in this deck, is when you put it to soul. You can Baltic something in the bind zone. Yeah, that's it. We don't do that in this deck. We mainly want it for the first skill. Call this guy down turn 2 when you have Shoujo Doji. Intercept with it to have free shield value, and for the rest it's just discard fodder. If you find too many of these guys, just discard it for write-up. This is the best write-up, the discard write-up target if you have too many of them. Also, don't feel bad if you put into soul with Shoujo Doji grade 2 skill. It's honestly, it's there for it if you have too many of them. You kind of want to play around, see how much CB your opponent gave you. Next up we got the Fencing Roar. This is an amazing blitz order. Probably one of the best blitz orders this like standard has right now. You can choose one of your guardians without sentinel, but until end of battle, I guess when this unit is retired from guardian circle, put the card into your hands and you get +10k shield. So when you combine this card with your over trigger, you can get a 60k shield and a 50k shield out of it, and that is a really nice synergy. Usually you'll just use it with a trigger, preferably a front, because then it's 20 and 30k shield. Really strong, really good, quite a nice blitz order. Next up we go over the great 3s in the deck. So we run 2 extra Oboro, We can search it with the grade 1. We only need to. 2 is perfectly fine. You only need to go into Mukuro once to win the game anyway. Usually. In my 15 games of trying this out, I've only seen someone survive a Mukuro turn once, and the next turn he would just die from general pressure from your third stride turn. And then the other Shiranui, this card is your main stride fodder, as it, it lets you draw a card when you discard it from hand, and it also is a pretty nice beater. When it gets plus 10k if a dominated unit attacked. So it's pretty nice. Both a big beat stick and just a really good discard fodder. For the first time in one of these I get to go over the G-Zone. That's quite exciting. You of course get the beautiful SP included in the Stride deck set that you buy. So Magantembu lets you counterblast 1 and flip a card in your G-Zone face up. Choose one of your opponent's rear guards, dominate it, and attack another of its units. At the end of that battle, it retires. So I've used this card to just on stride dominate something, attack one opponent's rear guards, dominate the same thing, attack another rear guard. Hopefully take out 3 rear guards and just try to pressure them out of their resources. This is one playstyle. You can of course just go swing for Vanguard, which is also quite strong. But the numbers are quite low on these swings. They're usually like 19k, 22k max. So if you want to play more defensively against a deck that would struggle with regaining its pieces, I think it's quite good. I think it is quite good. So use this depending on the matchup, on which one you attack. Someone who is a little better. We got Mukuro over here, Shiranui Mukuro. This is an insane card. So you can do 8 attacks on a Mukuro turn. I just want to put that out there. Which is wild. So you on stride, you dominate. That's 1 attack. This guy Soul Blasts 1. You dominate a rear guard, attack Vanguard. That's 2 attacks. Then you get to dominate the Vanguard to attack a rear guard. That's 3 attacks. And then you have 2 restanding rear guards and a Vanguard swing. So that's 8 attacks total. That's a lot of pressure coming from a Mukuro turn. And also the reason why people usually don't survive it, as they're already at 4 to 5 damage. So what else does Mukuro really do? And like I just said, it's you Soul Blast 1, so Soul is important in this deck, guys. Soul is really important. It's your restanding and it's your Mukuro. Exactly why I think Forktail is the superior grade 1 slot of those things that I mentioned before, until Shenri gets here. Soul Blast 1, you choose one of your opponent's rear guards, dominate it, and attack your another. You have to specifically attack Vanguard with this one though, so a little less flexible than Mukuro, not Mukuro, Magantembu. And then you get to dominate your opponent's Vanguard. Now, I played this at locals this weekend, and nobody really seemed to realize that when Mukuro dominated their Vanguard, I get to do a twin drive. I think it's really important you remember that. If you dominate a Vanguard, you get the twin drive from that Vanguard because you're attacking with a Vanguard unit. So you want to make sure that you have your board set up as best as possible. So if you check crit, you can put it on there. And then mainly you will put it on preferably this guy, because then he hits for nice numbers. He'll be 30k. And that's really nice. And then you just try to out pressure them and finish the game with a Mukuro multi-attack. Your Mukuro would already swing for 38k triple drive. Like, it's a lot of pressure coming out of this turn. You also rebuild your hand size a lot, because you do 5 drive checks in total. You can bounce Tenrei, I think it's Tenrei, like the grade 1, yeah, Tenrei. You can bounce him potentially for another draw. Be careful though that if you don't kill your Mukuro turn, you might want to keep open a CB just in case for another Magantembu turn, if you think that's needed. I think third stride Magantembu is better than going to Mukuro again, mainly because you'll probably be out of soul, and you usually don't have the second Oboro in hand anyway. So yeah, really good G-Zone, like, it's stacked. Both of these strides are incredibly good for what they offer. It's just a powerhouse of a deck. I played like close to 15-20 games and I've lost maybe 1 or 2. It's a dominating performance, and I do think it's definitely worthy of being called best deck in the format. Okay, we're back with a little deck demonstration portion. So this is before Mulligan. I open a hand. I would obviously send back the critical trigger, draw a new card, That's really nice. That's what we want to see. I'm going to shuffle the deck up. So this has a really strong opening hand. In this case it's difficult to decide what to throw away. I will usually throw away the Sekie, as it's only really good on your turn 4 play, but of course if you want to get more value out of your multi-attacks, you could keep him. And instead discard one of the Shoujo Dojis, the Isasaos. So this deck wants to go second, so I'm gonna display what happens when you go second with this deck. So we would draw a card per turn. For the sake of argument, I'm gonna just discard a Sekie. I think that's the right call. It's a late game card, you don't need it early game. Then we ride. We would draw from our starter, because we're going second. Then we'll get our crest, which means we get another draw. At this point, you can choose to activate this. Search your deck for Oboro, and then you kind of think, should I do it with the other one too? I think you should. It's 2 cards out of your deck instantly. Your opponent will think you won't have a lot of shield, but that's fine. I don't think that. If they rush a grade 1, it's actually beneficial in a way. Because with 2CB we can use 2 Isasawa procs. And then potentially heal, because we mulliganed our deck so much. So, we attack 8 for Vanguard, do our check. We have every single card that we would ever need. It's quite nice. So let's say our opponent does assume we don't have a lot of hand, like a lot of shield value on hand, because we search 2 grade 2, so they do us 2 damage. And then we get a defensive. Usually a defensive stops, you know, pressure plays on grade 1, so I'm gonna assume that this would also stop the pressure play. So I'm gonna skip the second damage. I think that's more realistic. I don't think many people would swing over 18k on their first turn. Well, let's do a Vanguard and check a trigger. Sure, let's take the second damage. Let's take the second damage. Let's assume they swung their 8k rearguard and then their Vanguard, and we just took both and he checked a draw or something, and he passed the one to pass. Alright, so after that we draw our card. Now we have 3 Isasaos in our hand. So this is what I discussed in the deck portion of the video. If you have too many of this card, pitch it. It's one of the best targets to just throw away. It's great. Now we can write our Shoujo Doji. Can check top 5. Take a look. This is not a great top 5 in this case. I'll probably choose something like this. Maybe we can just put the one in soul and I'll get the body on the field. Yeah, probably like that. We want to call our Isasaos and the other guy would just sit there. But we can just put in the back. Damn it, I'm gonna call it to the back row. Let's get him back out here. He can be useful later on while we run out of beat sticks. So, of course, then we're going to be resolving our first Isasao. We'll probably be actually taking this card, as he's the best stride fodder. The other options are a card you already have, so it's better to get the stride fodder, because then you get an extra draw when you stride, and that's really good. Having that stride fodder to draw an extra card, you not really have to worry about, you know, what are you discarding for stride, or you hard striding, this, that. It's just really good. Another reason why Isasao is so great. You can search out your stride fodders. So then we play the other one. Our opponent was a fool, and he gave us 2CB to work with. Haha, perfect. We got the stealth PG off with the second one. This is exactly what we wanted to see. This PG will be incredibly valuable going forward. And another good reason why this just setup is so strong, because you can just search PGs out early on. You can commit a field without decreasing your hand size, and that's really, really impactful. So then we can swing 10, swing 10, do our drive, nothing, and then swing another 10, depending on their, board setup. We'll swing accordingly at different things. And alright, I think that's a really strong grade 2 turn. And say we're going first, and we're playing against another stride deck. You could just, pass on this, them attack you, then restand, and you still have this entire setup just ready to go. But alas, we're going second right now. You want to try to intercept with these two, ideally, or one of the two. Let's say we intercept it with this one, and then we drew out our this, and we took a damage. So this is honestly pretty realistic board space. You probably would be guarding a little bit more. Let's say you also pitched this, got the trigger back and then guard with the trigger again. You want at least one CB going into this turn. In this case, I would be pitching this. And I'd rather keep the Oberos in hand for striding and stuff. Alright, since we went second, we can do our first stride turn here. Discard this. Stride into Magantembu. Draw a card from the stride. Then the on-stride activates, and we can dominate something and attack with it. Very nice, very good. Then we can counterblast one. Usually you want to flip a Mukuro, dominate something and attack with it, so there's already 2 attacks that already happened for just existing. Then call down Furai, as he's your best swinger. He'll have plus 10k, plus 5k, he'll be 25k from himself. And right now I think it's better to have 1 restander from the amount of soul you actually just have. We only have like 4 soul. I don't know. Go all out. Once we have Shenri, we'll be able to be a little bit more, do whatever you want with your soul, because you'll have more soul generally, and you don't have to worry about it as much. But for now, we'd swing 25. Attack Vanguard, do our triple drive, check over trigger. The game might actually end if you do this. Do your Vanguard would restand. Oh yeah, on attack we obviously Soul Blasted one to restand this. Second check heal. Would we be higher? Probably be equal right now, so let's heal. Give the power to this column. Then crit down, power rear. And then you can swing again with your Vanguard, but since you check your over trigger, it's very funny that I can actually show this. You can swing here again, and then on attack, Soul Blast again to restand. If you think you can kill with this, I would probably do this. Checking your over trigger on a stride turn, as I said, is usually game ending, because now you get another triple drive. Of course, this one, this is more like it, so we don't see anything. But it's good, because now we have 2 restanders for our next turn. So you can swing here, here, and now we have a really nice, really insane turn. Our hand is so big that at this point we could guard legitimately anything our opponent throws at us. Honestly, usually the game would just end here. But let's, for the sake of discussion, say they survived. And they pressured us. Oh my lord. To 5. And we discarded some cards. Let's say they went really insanely strong. We had to PG, we had to guard, we had to take 3 damage. They had a really good push turn. We even had to use the order. And we'd still have so much hand. We'd still have so much hand. They probably retired our field too. Let's just say that they did. Then we can stand and draw. At the start of the right phase, you can revive something from their drop. So if their field's empty for whatever reason, they recharge it themselves, they put it into their soul or something. This will allow us to just get a body out there to, you know, play with. Then obviously I would discard this for stride. Go into the beautiful SP Mukuro. On stride dominate attack, so that's already the first dominated attack. We can call this guy AFCB plenty, so counterblast 1, draw a card, very nice. Then we can call these two down to, you know, put trigger power on. Then Soul Blast 1, dominate their rear guard to attack Fang, then Fang at the rear, at which point we get our Twin Drive, Crit C. This is why we want to call this early, so we can put it all there. Nice, heal. We're at 5, so we would actually heal too. So you guys can see, like, triggers are very strong in this game. It's just really strong. And having so many drive checks with Shiranui, you just get a lot of value out of your entire deck. So at that point we can bounce this again to hand. Most likely they'll let the tackle rear guard hit. Call it again. Counterblast 1. Draw another card. Very nice. You can just call it down. So now we have a 2, 4, 7 card hand still. We'll still have to do a triple drive, so we'll go up to 10 card hand. We still have an open CB for if this doesn't kill. So we can swing here. This will be plus 15 from the 3 dominated attacks, plus 10 from the crest, plus 10 from a trigger. So it would be 45k swing on itself with a crit. Then we'd attack Vanguard, because we only have 1 soul. Again, it's kind of rough. Soul Blast 1, resend this to our triple drive, front trigger because we're good, crit because we're so good, and nothing. So now we have, like, this would swing for 63k? Yeah, 63k. I think they both actually swing for 63k, yeah, with a critical on them. Good luck surviving that if you don't check your own over trigger. But that's the general strength of Shiranui, man. Like, you have 5 drive checks, you're bound to see some triggers. The amount of filtering you do too with Isasaos, you just set up your deck in a way where you can comfortably win the game. And it'll only get better over time when we have like the Cycle card, which you can play in set 1 of the Divines. When we get the Shenri Paromo you can play. It just gets better. Really strong deck, as you guys just saw. It pushes numbers, pushes attack amounts. It's aggravating for people to play against. I've definitely seen people get upset already, which, you know, isn't always fun, so if you're just here to have fun with your friends, maybe this isn't a deck for you. But all in all, if you want a really strong deck that you can, you know, out of the box, buy from a stride deck, depending if you have, where is he? This guy? I hope you guys have him already and you don't need to still buy him. It's a pain to get right now. But yeah, if you just want to do that and have a really good deck, go for it, guys. Yeah. Shiranui is fun. It's a very simple and strong playstyle, which is one of my favorite things. Simple but strong. You don't need to think too much, so you can focus on, you know, doing everything right. Yeah, there's not much more to say than that. Alright guys, that was the Shiranui deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed a little showcase and everything I said about it. Again, really strong deck, really fun deck. You know, if you disagree, please let me know. I would love to know you guys' opinions about it. But for now, I'll say goodbye, have a good week, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.